que se lo di para él. Ah, mi arepa.
Good morning, everyone. In your prayer book, turn to page 1, and we'll begin. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious, kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teaching and Lord of the Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Idams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Refuge of all sentient beings without exception, divine subjugator of terrifying Maras together with their hosts of demons, the one who understands all realities without exception exactly as they are, transcendent conqueror together with your disciples, please come here to this place. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Okay, and then move to page 11. Namo, to the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence, I offer the fundamental ground of appearance and existence. I supplicate you to thoroughly liberate the three realms. Please grant your blessings and overturn the depths of samsara. Sublime Master, wish-fulfilling jewel, crown ornament, the inconceivable, inexpressible mind of the victorious ones, the one endowed with the five wisdoms of omniscience. Gracious one, the embodiment of love, precious protector of beings, I supplicate you from within the essence of mind. Please grant your blessings from within the innate nature. Please bless me that I may realize the Dharmakaya that is beyond intellect, this primordially unborn, completely pure mind. Transcendent conqueror, the one thus gone, foe destroyer of afflictive emotions, completely perfected Buddha, endowed with logic and virtue, the one gone to bliss, knower of the world, captain, tamer of beings, the unexcelled teacher of gods and men, I respectfully prostrate, completely touching my head to the stainless feet of the unequaled Shakya king. At the time of your birth, leader of two-legged beings, taking 7 steps on this great earth, you proclaimed, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise even then, I prostrate. Possessing a body of complete purity, your sublime form is excellent, an ocean of primordial wisdom. You are like a golden mountain, the one whose renown is evident throughout the 3 worlds, protector of supreme attainment. To you I prostrate. To you who are endowed with the supreme marks, whose face is like an immaculate moon, to you, the one with a complexion like gold, I prostrate. A flawless one such as you among the 3 levels of existence is most exquisite. Unparalleled, omniscient one, to you I prostrate. Supreme among humans, captain of those to be tamed, the one thus gone who severs the all-binding fetters, who with senses pacified is utterly pacified and skilled in peace. To that one, the one who dwelled at Sravasti, I prostrate. Refuge endowed with great compassion, totally omniscient one who indicates the way, ground basis for oceans of merit and qualities, I prostrate to the one thus gone. The pure cause free from attachments, the virtue that liberates from the lower realms, the altogether supreme ultimate truth, to the pacifying Dharma I prostrate. Having been liberated, they also reveal the path to liberation. Thoroughly respectful of the 3 higher trainings, they are a field of sublime qualities. To the Sangha I also prostrate. And then turn to page 9.
Kiwen duwa kaloi gyurwa lada me nongye nongbai nyamye shai je jarboi shabje de ma me ba go rape do de kwe chanda loi ganze wani Sajen de la gamba de orde, ane jeden den ay chojes, ande de ke ba che lai chanzelo, nam da gom na chode susanwa, ye je janzo serje nungoja, daba jiden sona langewa, gombo choni jela chanzelo, senjo demba jime daveje, Zrando nawa jela chanzelo, duje chuje soba somanze, nyami chenche jela chanzelo, mecho duwa kaloi junse jen, kunjora chingwa chonze deshe she, ambo shenoi nye shelange, nyeyo shokwa dalai chanzelo, gombo toje jedemba, Antam je jembe tomba bo sonai yone janzo yen deshi jeta jasa tabe docha trawe ju engewe genso le rojin jeta tomba chojo ba jejo chula jasa Glore tuve lamyon la pata rategu shenge damba yondenye kende la yan chaksaldo.
And then to page 15. I prostrate to the youthful Manjusri, to those in the worlds of the 10 directions, however many there are, all the lions among humans who appeared during the 3 times, to all of them without exception, I pay homage with respectful body, speech, and mind. The force of my aspiration prayer for excellent conduct brings all the victorious ones directly to mind. Bowing down with bodies as numerous as atoms in the realms, I prostrate to all the victorious ones. In a single atom there are Buddhas as numerous as atoms, each residing in the midst of their sons and daughters. Like that, I imagine the whole Dharmadhatu completely filled with victorious ones. To those with oceans of inexhaustible, praiseworthy qualities, with sounds containing oceans of tones of melodic speech, I express the qualities of all the victorious ones. I praise all the Sugatas. With the finest flowers, the finest garlands, music, ointments, supreme parasols, supreme lamps, and the finest incense, I make offerings to the victorious ones. With the finest cloths, supreme scents, and fine powders equal to Mount Meru, all displayed in supreme and magnificent ways, I make offerings to those victorious ones. With vast and unsurpassable offerings, I venerate all the victorious ones. Through the power of faith and excellent conduct, I prostrate and offer to the victorious ones. Whatever negative actions I have performed with body, speech, and also mind, overpowered by desire, aggression, and stupidity, I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in everyone's merit, the victorious ones of the 10 directions, the bodhisattvas, the pratyeka Buddhas, those in training, those beyond training, and all beings. I request the protectors, the lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who passing through the stages of awakening, attain Buddhahood beyond attachment, to turn the unsurpassable Dharma wheel. I supplicate with my palms joined together, those who intend to demonstrate nirvana, to remain for kalpas as numerous as atoms in the realms, for the welfare and happiness of all beings. I dedicate whatever slight virtue is accumulated through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and supplicating to enlightenment. And then to page 16. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the 2 vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Good morning. Tinda 저 단다 로도 넘버 히스 다 디베 틴리카 개체 뭐 쉬우지 다 저 부디즘로 남비 근고네 개체 뭐 쉬우지 차디요레스.
So then, this morning, we are continuing with the instructions on the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. And these are extremely important, particularly in the context of Buddhism.
데니다 조 가르치나 가서디 다 망보지 요래다 이내야 디나네 가르치나 가서다 손도 디디 휴비나 대중구도와 가서다 레준데 손다 조바스라와 디네 고타와데 가르치나 땡징데 완중바 임바 디네 가서다 레가 갈레비나다 레준데 디토네 지디 진 세바메바 세야데다디 인디 디 차창데 가완디디 요레 휴비나
So then, out of all these different instructions, there are a lot, yet if we condense everything down, then everything, can ultimately be condensed into the instructions of cause and effect. And so Kyopa Jikten Sungun taught that the view is that everything arises through interdependence. And so if we, look at these teachings on the four thoughts that turn the mind, in particular, cause and effect, we find that there are instructions here to understand how everything, occurs in our life, not only in the context of Buddhist practice, but for everything.
오다 티가 나지게 가리디오레 슈비나티네 다 예탕가 좋단다. 다 냠레 지야기다 자와 텔라 단 투무 근원으로 세나리 치응원으로 세나리 대 개점부 차디오레스 디인도다 디나네 가르나 가서 변나자 하위나 되네 텐조 니가와 텐조지물을 짜침부 간리임바 다 대가 나이게 대양한테니 지고 메타베랑이 다 메타바랑이 시도 고 야보이나 메타바레 단다 콘티바나 인터디펜던트 고도보이나 메타와하고와 되네 디는 레다 갈라와데 가즈나 레준데 세야지
So then, in terms of the root of Buddhist practice, we have what are called the common or outer preliminaries. And these are not just, something to, cast aside, but they are really extremely important. And so first we meditate on the freedoms and the advantages of having a precious human life and reflecting on how precious this opportunity is. And then we meditate on how this situation is not permanent, and so we meditate on death and impermanence. And there is an impermanence that is of bad things, and there is an impermanence of good things in our life, but there is also an impermanence of bad things. So there are both these aspects. And then after meditating on that, then we come to the teachings on karma and cause and effect.
다 디누 다 개침보디 레세야데 다 레세야데 가리세나 고 레송켄디 ngazo 차디 요리라 고 레창켄데 ngazo 차디 요레스.
So then we have what is karma. And so karma is, something that is literally means actions. And so when we, talk about karma, there's talk about karma and so forth, but then there are also, when we engage in an action, then that becomes our karma. So our karma is kind of the collection of our actions.
어떻게 인도 배낭가 저다 직텐디 나나 직섬노 땅비나 양고 딱 갈세 거래 삼레로와 삼레 지보요와 삼레를 강해요와 다 되고 직 내추럴 시너리 노멀로 차디요레스.
Some the kibo yore, some
갈레요레스.
So if we look at, things out there in this world, then we see that, some people and some situations are pleasant and nice. And then we see other, people and situations that are unpleasant and difficult.
다디 ngazu tembe kichu nambe keta kechimbu shuji chadiore karsena da ngazu di zo chehyo di karzam gorji normally ro normally karzam gorsena ngazu ji yutel jiwo lo yan ro ji samok tang goro ben 강에 요나 강에 대 유itel에 땡치는 되네 강에 요가 돼 시야게 탑시 치거리 된 되게요 말했어 다조 카르세나디 그 강에 요기 수용고도 올라나 나란 용고 열와 나란 용고 요비 짐센텔에 땡네 되네 ben 야면나 간디냐 저때 소다 무슨 용모 봐 나란 강에 요아데 야나 가린 용고 라나 해당 그거네 갈린 용고 유지래 야면나 직 셈제토네 강에 용고 유지래 야면나 도자고네 강에 용고 유지래 다 야면나 셈제 워리 티니토네 강에 용고 열와 디 용사대 칼스나 랑토 요비 짐센텔 때네 다디 하고야 개침 버렸어 다들 조조당 고고 요레스
So normally, if we, see a situation that is problematic and difficult, we might think, oh, I got to change where I am. I got to change the outer circumstance. So if somebody's in a place where things are all difficult, we might blame the place and say, oh, this is a bad place. We've got to change the place. However, in Buddhism, that's not the case. When we experience hardships, these hardships arise due to our karma and our inner mind and situations. And so, for ourselves, when we have afflictive emotions, for example, when we give rise to anger, then this creates, and we act upon this, then this creates different kinds of negative states based on that anger and actions based on that. If we have, stress and worry and anxiety in our minds, then this leads to certain types of experiences. When we have desire and we crave different things and so forth, this leads to, certain situations as well.
어데 딘디 인도 다 텔레카르세나 다 가서디 고탑 가리어세비나 랑라 강 용비 필링데 다 랑큰 가서 유조 땅고 요레스와 베나차 샤비나 다 기보요 그래 대가나 인가서다 곰자 고 냠냠 보지 그래 대요와들 고 인크리징 가서 곰자 냠내지나 루야 대오요 생아 대오요 거레스 야네 야도 지네 되네 냐마지 고베 즉 원에 되는 데벨람로와 송야고 대지지 차되기 거레스 힘베게 깡예기야 노트부요 말했어 와다 대가나 이게 단다 깡예 중사디 하고비 짐센텔에 때네 고직 갈래 이나야 단다랑 고베 톱스카와라 메와서야다 요 말이 이메이나야 고 갈래 데 메와서 투그레스 즉 깡예트다 용몽바디기 예수 만랑와 디게 토네 냠래 집이나 되네 가서 갈래 단기 깡예데 고 이해노고요레스
So, in this way, then what do we do? What method should we apply? Well, we should, work with our own minds. And for example, if we have a good situation and things are pleasant, then we should take the time to, meditate and train and increase that, experience of kind of, pleasant, calm mind. And so if we continue to utilize that experience, then eventually one day we can get to the place where we really are established in a state of, deep happiness and deep bliss, to the point where we can eventually get to a place where others cannot even destroy that and take that away from us when we have that strength and power of the mind. Also, too, when we experience, really difficult situations that are problematic, then if we really train our minds, then maybe at first when we're experiencing such hard difficulties in life, we can't overcome them. We have, some karma that we need to endure. But if we continue to not follow after our afflictive emotions and make it worse, then one day, through our training, we can overcome those difficulties and we will experience, more happiness and so forth.
어디 디니다 대가는 이다 라스트 가서다 로디 요래다 값 하바텔라 다 같아 디네 가서다 렌데리 대양 렌데라와 레 칸사와티게 리뷰 용그레스 디니다 리뷰 용한테라 직아 기반도 좀 많이 봐 치마양 리뷰 용그레스야다 텔리지리 단 리뷰 용사대 가리요다 가서 뭐 제발래네 제발렘베 까블라 가와 제발렘게 요래 랍드 단 로렉투 가라 가서 뭐지부 많이 봐 레자바지 텔레테네 되네 레 체중라 빠베 되네 가서 리뷰 되네 망야 송송세야 토리 좀세야 되네 제발렘게레스다디
Thomas.
로고 요래서
So then, of the four thoughts that turn to mind, the last of the four is looking at the sufferings of cyclic existence. And so, depending on what causes and effects and our karma we have accumulated, then the effects, the fruition of that karma is going to ripen into our experience of life. And so this happens in this lifetime, but then sometimes the fruition of that karma we experience in future lifetimes. And so where do we experience that? We experience that as taking birth in what are known as the 6 types of wandering beings, these 6 realms. And depending on the power of our karma and what karmic actions we have done, then we are either born in the 3 lower realms or the 3 higher realms.
다 디엔딩 가서 갈세나 다 트리 로렘 게 나네 갈세나 다 가서 가장 냐르와세 요래라 다 냐르와세야 돼 넘버 지부 말에 다 릴리지 가서 망보지 쓴 거래 얘네야 넘버 산지베게 가르준 거스나 냐르와세야 제가 랑이키 톱데와 제당 대가나 이게 즉 마게라고 파니시면 정연적 텐데 요 말에스 인비 이나양 individual ke leza hajo thike individual then experience yungres.
So then if we talk about the 3 lower realms, the hell realm, hungry ghost, and animal realms, then in there we have first the hell realm. And so the hell realm isn't something that is exclusive to talking about the Buddhist, perspective of the universe, the Buddhist cosmology, but it's also teachings on hell realms or in other spiritual traditions and so forth too. However, if we look at the tradition of Buddhism, the experience of hell is not something that is substantially existent. It is not some place where beings are punished for their actions. Instead, the experience of the hell realm arises through the ripening of our own individual karma. So we experience the arising of our karma as an outer realm.
That in the 당가서 데려와 reality 좋아. 삼노 땅도 다 강사 카시게 레뱅 냠바티니 싸기요레스. 다른 가서 통구요레. 이러와. 벤도 샤샤위나 다 가서 녀와라 카리요레스. 랍고레. 녀르웨케 메요레스. 메데 칸디제 요레 라위나 just regular fire later yata mambo kibe tongra mambo tende tsawa tende yungu yores tende kale nyangres lagu yorwa ti indu ta ngone samno tang tingzang ga de meme zwa nga som bam zuji samno tang bina ta khaza je order ti ne himba ji le seya chi to la tene bam shugu yores wa 이는 밤때 가봐요래. 나저 regular 메일 되네. 고 자타 동타 차오요 봐. 죽보요 봐. 근데 용구요래서 와. 대 요비 좀 센때네. 딱고 뒤 레사 하셔도 될 거 리브 미스 미국으로 와.
So
Also, even these days, we get thinking about.
So when we think about our reality, the individuals that experience, karma, for example, we have in hell, in some of the hell realms, there are...
They're talking about, right, hell, like hot hell.
Yeah, so there are, extreme fires of hell, the fiery, hot hells. And when we look at the descriptions of the hot hells, it's not like normal fire. Here in this realm, in the human realm, if there's fire and, we get touched by the fire, it really hurts. But in the hell realms, it's said to be, thousands of times, hotter, like exponentially more hotter, and the suffering from that fire is exponentially more. So we might think, well, how could that be? But if we look these days, for example, maybe we have fire, in the backyard or something, and it's hot. But we also have in this world, these days, for example, there are bombs and weapons that people make. And some of the fires in those bombs and the power of that fire can be literally thousands of times or even more times more powerful than just, the fires in, like a normal fire in a stove. And it can be, normal fire can move sort of fast, but these, modern weapons have, the destructive power can move, thousands of times more faster. And so we might think like, oh, how could beings experience, such incredible torment? Well, for example, the beings that perpetuate, these weapons of war that are so destructive and so powerful, there is a direct reaction sometimes for that karma. And so those that perpetuate that suffering with those powerful weapons, then, for example, if we think about, karma these days, then the result could be for some of them to experience the experience of those weapons in future lifetimes.
어디 뉴텔라 카르스나다 고지 few people decision 치네 다 파기라 거지 뭐 동사망보 다네 다 동이 되기요레스.
Also, there are some people, when we talk about, for example, war or other things, a few people can make a decision, but that decision causes suffering for, thousands or tens of thousands of people. So just one little decision has, this incredible power to create suffering.
어디 인디 카르스나고 카르마 세야데 가장 쉬운 나일이 그 집어주 메자 세야데다 카르메 컨트롤하러와 그 지향조들은 재미그래 성에다.
So, one of the ways that karma manifests is through the kind of external, outer fruition of that karma is to experience the karma that we perpetuate, that we engage in. Then we experience, what we do unto others in a way is what we experience ourselves.
대가 나이다 가서 cold hell라고 그러다. 이네다 가르치고 그러는 등상 뺀나 차샤위나다. 나랑 하코데와 맥통데와 맥통스나 하코와 가르치고 그러나 뺀나다 포베면 뭐지글라 삼상 다람살이야 야갈이야 스케프 용구요래. 이네다 리젠 텔레데네테 파폴은 로베카블라 가르치고 그러나 사워 향기도와 사워라 향 배탕모로와 디가는 타도 다 AC 배모 cold 테니당 거 세거라마 세야
네. Konzo escape chedu.
다 리젠테로와 콘소고네 지나 데 스케프 지고 치요레 마토 머지요 마레 고마자비요 마레 가야 치요 말와 이나 거 파니시면 트리치 그래서
Konzo punishment le escape chego go bares.
말해 다 스케프 지 파폴 도그와 근데 콘소 다 야무하 코네 트리치 그래서
Then the punishment. And Konzo drama kikoda.
Yeah, so this the one thing I think in the Tibet, so I think many people they escaped from Tibet to India, so some see the Dalai Lama and back to Tibet. So then the Chinese punishment is so put underground, cold, right? And then plus they put AC, whatever it is cold, like make it freeze. So that's where they killed, So those people kind of like what is innocent, like those people didn't thief or whatever, they didn't kill the people. There really is nothing mistakes except he escaped to India, see Dalai Lama, they back to Tibet, So that's real, cold hell, But those who did that, public government, but I think few people decision make like the tremendous make suffering, So that's I believe, they can get result, sooner or later. 어떻게 인도인 것들이 다 참내 양아지 것들이 단 health religious belief 다오지 some 것 같은데 in some areas 와.
So in this way, hell isn't just this religious belief that happens. It is, how reality works.
어디 인도 갈세나 그 이는 양 It doesn't matter 그 main country 다는 degrees 이는 양 저 레사샤와 텔라 티킨 리뷰가 되다 아주 행복이요 잘했어.
So, it really doesn't matter what we actually call the experience or, how we label these things, but we can understand that the actions that we engage in, there is a result of those actions that we will come to experience.
Tin da nga so diga na yi ki yang samre nga so da ke I think most important part khari yo la wi na da samre nga so ji nyarwa la so ba da diga na yi da nga so next anymore rem lo wa 그래서 가서 하코야 레라오레스 텐데 임비 갑라 따지 가서 참레오 녀발레 해나로 당야 텐데 용석이레스 이네 양다 디 갑라 가리 연구요레 라비나 가서 닝제제야 랑고 녀발레 강연도 좀비 로 텔레 때네 되네 지 가서 텔레 닝제제야 텔레 마치비게 탑라 몰람자야 개치 보인사레스
So, one of the most important things when we hear these teachings too, we hear, about the hell realms, hungry ghost realms, and then, the animal realm in particular is coming up. And perhaps, especially the animal realm, we can understand because we can see the animal realm to some experience. And so we see the struggles of beings in these realms and the fear that they experience and so forth. And when we look at their situation, one of the things that arises when we see such suffering of beings in these other realms is this compassion rises up in us. And we think, I don't want them to experience that suffering. I don't want them to go through that. And, at that point we should, make the prayer and aspiration that beings are freed from that suffering. And so this is an important part of contemplating these realms too.
That person I think we called maybe practitioner, right? So, ngaso nyamlen 칭해서 지어와. 다들 가르고 그래, 간디치 그래, 간디지는 practitioner 차고 그래, 슬라비나스.
So, this word that we have, practitioner, one who engages in practice, who accumulates experience. What is a practitioner?
다 practitioner들이 양고배 등에 가야면 배 집어 대고 장장 드리레서 드리 말이스.
So, is a practitioner somebody who just meditates and is blissful all the time, does not experience any suffering or any problem whatsoever? No.
이나 practitioner 직발이스 practitioner 이나 직발이 ordinary. Not 직발이스 normal people is practitioner man 직발이스 same situation is.
So on one hand, a practitioner experiences the same situations that all ordinary people experience.
이나양, however, 가르고고 열람나 다 practitioner 게 세야데 간디지 차고 relavina 다 간디 강에 TV나 라와 빼나 뺀다고 하와나 나 나기 요나 나왜 내 갑들다 랑지 구성도 마탄지 다가 나야 난도기 민도 나디 나자데 배 독자리 텐데 삼나 텐데 practitioner 말이스 티가로 가르점 구요래 티 나랑게 나자텔라 해주치지 다가 나기도 나베 깔라 나랑 사프린 와 강에 요와 티 요바티 람사 메히나 zam노당죠 다디 다가 나야다 다 야보차샤다 메힘바디게 차가 나바레스 와 삽 용쇼스 몰람자야다 대가 나이다 나 나이게 되네 심전 힘발라다 만나요세야게 고 텐디게 되네 로치 로레비나 데 나사데나 나사데 총론도 그래라 이내양 다 텔레포트나 차기요레스 오다 대나기 강에 가르쳐 준비나라와 나자 중구요나레 sem지 중구요나레 family 그 problem 중구요나레 다 가리 이미 이내양 다 드소 참말 람레체 정도 람라 키토버지 그러와 디그 wan트만도와 그러와 다 삼상가서 ordinary person 어떻게 능이 디그 want 호로 그러와 베나테는 나나베 나데와도 나 난도금도 같이나 나기 요래 다디 베두보레 다지나 섬네 테니치나 다 그 나체크 want 침바라와 근데 능이 베 망보용 그러와 능이 더버터버 테니다 가리 그 강이 인젝텐디 강이 요래 그러와 강이 요리 티네 고 강이 티 want 먼저 강이 더 남도 지라고 나나 지워요와 코로나 problem 가리 유나티 problem 티 라텐지 고 데워지 요와더니 기아들 버티는 자그래서
So then, how should a practitioner, practice? What makes a practitioner? And so, like everyone in this world, practitioners experience, problems and difficult things. For example, when somebody is sick, a lot of times, if we're just being ordinary, when we're sick, we think, oh, I'm sick, this is horrible, I don't want to suffer. But if we are going to be a practitioner, then we can try to take it on the path. And so practitioners take things on the path. They don't just experience suffering and don't do anything with it, but they try to take it onto the path. And so one of the ways that practitioners take suffering on the path, when they experience suffering and difficulty in the body and so forth, then one of the ways to take it on the path is to think, may my suffering, through experiencing this suffering, may all other beings not experience any suffering. May all sentient beings throughout the universe be free from suffering and sicknesses. And when we pray in that way and shift the focus from our own internal suffering to wanting to free others from suffering, then our own suffering is lessened. And our mind, reaches this, kind of state of wanting to benefit others. Then, we become a practitioner, taking the suffering onto the path. So this is something we can do for all different types of situations. When we experience problems in life, when we have fear and anxiety, when we have problems and difficulties with our friends and our family, instead of just, thinking, oh, this is horrible, this is, terrible, we can take it onto the path. And when we take these situations onto the path and utilize them as inspiration to practice, then we are not overpowered by them. And so, otherwise, a lot of times when ordinary beings experience some suffering, then they get lost in that suffering. And, they think, oh, this suffering is so terrible. And the more they think and dwell on that suffering, the suffering becomes multiplied, and it becomes harder to get out of that suffering mind state. On the other hand, if we can bring it onto the path, then, we can harness that. And that is what makes us a practitioner.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that ngats di nu da katsa nyarba te mongro simbere ina yanda da a question. Then nyarba te changa da according to the text. La changa kasiyores.
So we were just talking about the hell realms, and so Drupon Thinley Rinpoche has a question, and so it mentioned numbers of hells. So how many hell realms are there? That's the question.
Mm-hmm. You said 60?
We got a 18, we got a 16, we got an infinite, we got a limitless.
Okay, you were Bubbly who said you need. Okay.
Clarified as 18
Yeah,
categories.
okay, you said 60? More than that.
18 categories, but limitless.
The Dongje Yorwa.
There's a
Yeah,
story.
the tene magic latini nyarwa khasi yores labres te labdu nyarwa te chetanta 80 yores kon haku yosarwa tene khar laude labna tene ko jog ta jog ina te I don't know tene ta 8 hot held 8 cold held yores ita 60 chasong ina ko 80 se ade ko yo haku yorwa thi kabla tene karma ba hyamana ni res dongji yores iti karma ba te kera chembo yosarwa hyamana ni labdu
So there's a story, and so one person was, wondering, what, how many hells were there, and so a lot of times in the text it's explained that there are 18 hells, and this story involves kind of a joke. So this person.
or maybe mistake yeah joke or mistake
Kind of a joke, but also kind of a
Mistake.
mistake. Maybe it's not that funny. But so they knew there were, in the teachings, there were the 8 hot hells, and then there were also the 8 cold hells. But then that leaves 2 other hells. So where did those hells come from? So at the same time, in Tibet, it was known that there were 2 high lamas known as, and still today, but there are 2 high lamas positions, incarnations known as the Karmapa and the Sharmapa.
right so this called they called black head and red head
Right. So the Karmapa had this special black hat, and the Sharmapa had a special red hat.
right o tene hyamana ni re la yorota so the plus hyamana ni chi dit 80 char yoro
So when this person was enumerating the hells, they were like, oh yeah, there's the 8 hot hells, 8 cold hells, and then the black and the red hats.
80 but I think so those maybe those 2 heads but I think they have you need to find
Right, so that was the wrong answer. They they kind of like messed that one up. So, they did. You really need to come up with something else besides the hats.
okay
Is the Avicii hell, that's separate from the 8
That's in the hot hells.
That's a hot, so that's one of the 8 hot hells?
yeah the 8 hot hells 8 cold hells they're specific names right
Yeah,
but these 2 is the total different
the 2 is totally different.
Yeah.
I know ephemeral. I don't know.
oh okay Emerald hell logic
We got
You see.
an ephemeral hell. Mm-hmm.
The one where you arise as something. Is that it? Like, I could be a chair.
right that di haku gores that ni yores ni tele karsena nyechewa seya jigda nyenkorwa seya ji yores I think maybe don't forget okay those 2
So it's not the black and the red hat. It is the we can they're translated here as the neighboring hells and the ephemeral hells.
다 nyechewa korang la bana yire kachanga so di past week we did right so this day nyechewa tela tene ta ko chewan ramanda len sigri stopped rwa go tang ka wa ta tapkala so paten res
And so the ephemeral hells are kind of like what you were talking about. You can take birth in all these sort of different situations where your consciousness can get trapped and so forth. And so we covered, some of that. That's the ephemeral hell.
Tene ta nyenkorwa seyaji yoris ta tela.
And then there's also the neighboring hells.
Ta neighboring tela kari sena karsena tere hibji judo. So neighboring itself has the 60 difference. So you know that?
So, did you understand? There are 16 different hells within the neighboring hells. So, do you know what those are?
Remember, it scared me. The tree with swords that you climb up, and then the people that you liked are down, and you climb down, and you keep getting cut. The Shimali trees.
Mm-hmm.
Scary.
Yeah, maybe above the cold hells. Yarla.
All right, so that tele karsena te yoris. Ngazo he yoris. Talam he.
Uh-huh.
The each direction la he chi de he judo. Each direction la ta ngazo la town damar tis yoris ne ronya dam seyaji yoris.
So, yeah, there are, like you mentioned, the hills of Shimali trees, but in each of the 4 cardinal directions, there are 4 different types of neighboring hills. And so one is this swamp filled with putrid corpses.
Tene mema more.
And then there is also a pit of hot embers.
Tene terawa putitse.
So then there is the field of big razor blades.
Tene ta tere ngazo tene chuorami seyaji yoris.
And then there is the forest of swords.
Mari. Chuorami rawa chu.
Chubur.
Yeah, chu rawa chu. Chu te bit big river no.
Oh,
Ita tini lam na digre ngache tene songche kita te nagri ro yor wata te dis manda lab yoris.
Chubur.
Chu rami sena ta pe de karse de chu. Pe ha sangya kita karse gore.
Rame.
Rami center da. Subject cannot go through ro.
Uh-huh.
Cannot cross, cannot swimming like what called this rushing
Uh-huh.
river or something like.
River of ashes.
No.
Yeah.
Rushing river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of the forest of swords, there is sometimes a description of this uncrossable rapids, river of uncrossable rapids.
Right. So that I think this is the 4 directions, same thing. And then he said, like, then each corner, the Hermeric, the Bombo Yoris.
So then, so these are in each of the 4 directions. Then in the intermediate directions are hills covered with these shamali trees.
Right. So that's why I think neighboring hill has, I think, 20 difference. In that zone, nga zota ketan di nang la reti na yata samutang go groa. Ben he ta tere sonche ke ri na re yamena reza feldi na re tindi ko yongse gre sam gore ngarang ro sam na.
So Drupon is saying that if we really think about this, the hill, covered with, weapons or field of razor blades, this kind of experience is kind of possible.
가르치기 요리라비나 빼는 이벤트 religious로 or even these days 가르치기 요리라비나 다 만주 치기 요리스로.
So even outside of religious stuff, sometimes in a war zone.
outside 마다
Oh,
religious로 빼는 힌두 만주 치기 요로.
oh, even religious people, they makro.
막도 말와.
Oh, karis.
만주로 만주 this animal sacrifice.
Oh, machu. Oh, gonda. So ignore what I just said. Even Hindu traditions, for example, or other, religious traditions, still these days engage in animal sacrifice, blood offering.
다 가르치기 요리라비나 항상 그때 bednombodes.
And so when one of the things that is done sometimes when, people do animal sacrifice is they have this extremely sharp blade to do the cutting.
다 벤차샤오나 바플로나오이나 코나디 라마디 킨데니 잡두 카프토 몽고 사노 요리스. 되니 nombo 요리스.
So for example, when they are sacrificing a buffalo, then the blade that they have is so big and sharp they can cut through the entire head of the buffalo.
다테 지기도 티인도 다 가르치나 라마티케 고 자탕바스 고도와 택마직라.
So this priest who is doing the sacrifice, sometimes with these sacrifices they will do not just kill one animal, but they can kill, like 100 animals at one time to do a sacrifice.
인타고 헤나티스 요사리타 자탕바스 세비지라 테네 고 칼리티 루도 라마타. 데 시지고요 말이스. Otherwise 코티네 지 디멘도 고 케시다 먼저다 참마 top 시그리라도.
So Konzo the say
Yeah, so this is the tradition is the kind of, I think this priest or like he can kill the continuation. Like actually, if you kill the hunters, maybe not like take time, just quickly. But also very dangerous. True, that person, if you killed 100, then everybody take the sword and put different place. Otherwise, possible he can kill human beings or other beings. So, but anyway, so this teni chigi yores, teni chibe kalata, the contribute yongsigirwa.
So regardless, this does happen. People engage in animal sacrifice still today, and so the fruition of that karma, that action, takes place too.
어때가 나이다 ngats the war, right? The same time jikpachadi yores.
So then also these days too, we have the experience of war. People engage in war.
어다디 인도 테리다디 ngats dina teorista occasional hellro 대당 되네 단단 가서 이다서야 다 고직 너원도 된데 용구여서레스.
So then we have these ephemeral hells here in the text that we were talking about. And the next category too is called the realms of the hungry ghosts. And so the experience of the kind of world in the ephemeral hells and the experience in the realm of the hungry ghosts can sometimes, be similar.
어다디 인도 되네 다 제탕 가서 the would do perfect teacher now tene yoga tene rongon lingji repa seda duba ga ju kilama kong za chen borwa tin tene ta kharsena tene 그 메망케 다 자라 커뮤니티 대가 나기다 라만도이나 라미 모몽부베 도 몽부야 부와 푸네 틴리 제야데 레라오 민도스 카르리도 라비나 단다테 파길라 단다테 요라 염로 염소선 소중부 휴어 간도뉴요 아이빈데 항사야 페체메나다 nga tsukora jamnada pejene ta nima kyurnga sangurgu yorwa Thinley ge so chenbo tindu tinang tene nya chenbo ji che hyas nya chenbo de ji yongbe kawla ta ji nya chenbo yindu tene tinang la be de nya chung chung jata tongtra mambo ki tene kola dunge de na sagidos pugidos tindu ta ti ngema de la meji yores 고메트베 다 게라치 뭐 토베 야고 살고 토접도 있네 토로와토 그 니파체 모유죠 나빠지 요레스 고 게라치 뭐 살고 항상 근데 뭐빠 뭐 야라 동자 니마 레리 힌트네 고베 든디 부와 푸네 되네 다지 야콜라이 휴비요 살고
투잡 점보
오 콘토 장견라보다 되니 나빠지 요사라와 니파 쳔보지 다 드디 니파 요사라와 코란 니파야 되네 몸만 보시우지 기테네 코란 자리 용지 되네 부가 푸그러와
주보고
오 티키제 바레 슬라비어와
데 냐라 게 아니 데 소 첨보 나나 냐 첨보 책 요레 아니 데냐 첨보 데냐 첨보 라
사기어서
사기어 So, in this Words My Perfect Teacher by Patra Rinpoche, there is this story of Lingje Repa, and he was a Drupal Kagyu master in that tradition. And there, the Drung Nanga, the Mimambo Chala Lama, Lingje Repala, Chupa Bobare.
No.
Or the
Yeah, so he's the Lingji Repa, right? So Lingji Repa is the very famous Kandolak Dupaka Lingji Repa, Zangbajare, or those the very, very kind of high lama, very famous. So he's saying is someone, right, persons using the communities or using the other persons, or maybe even the lamas they are offering. So this is very dangerous. So there's the lake called the Yamro Yumso. So Yamro Yumso is very, I be there, very long lake, you know. So if you go to circumambulation lake, probably a couple of weeks, you know, maybe 50 or 60 days. That's big. But that lake, is born in fish, huge fish.
There's giant fish in that lake.
So then, the lama, okay, so this story you can fix, okay? So then, the small thousands, millions, they eating the big fish. You know?
So the big fish in this giant lake was being attacked constantly by all these tiny fish.
So then they asked what happened, you know, what they said. This is a long time ago, is Zhang Tanak Lama. I think he's kind of like, he used the black magic, or maybe he cured the other sickness. Maybe he has, I don't know, maybe they are temporary clairvoyants. So he's very famous. So then every day, like offering, people like see him like hundreds a day, hundreds. Then it's just like they're offering like tremendous offerings, animals, money, whatever, all sorts of things. So that Lama, so he not realization, maybe he has something temporary, I don't know, black magic, whatever. So that's his, he Tana Lamas born in fish. So that's very dangerous there. So this very dangerous, actually this, I said always we are clear the communities, so also very dangerous, if no realization, so some others, or offerings or other communities, whatever, money or positions. So that is kind of what this neighboring. Maybe this can be neighboring, can be is the what called this Nitseva or what? Nitseva chakras.
Yeah.
Nitsinyekor.
So the ephemeral.
Yeah.
So yeah, this Lama, because he was accepting Dharma offerings, but he didn't have any realization, it was a negative consequence. So he, seemed to be this Lama, but really he just has some like worldly magical powers and impressed people. And so he accepted offerings without actually.
So then also this my experience, actually I was sort of young, so maybe 1980s. So they called me a doctor, this Pembo is just this area name. So we call it Pembo doctor. But he's kind of a really strange guy. See him, but I didn't go. I don't want to look. But my friend, he really want. But he see him, nothing checks. The beating them like, pushing like the everywhere, just whatever your body. Kick out and like this kind of like, he just hold like this, like rubber. I don't know. So the people said this sickness is better, Maybe really painful, maybe all the sickness maybe a couple of days gone, I don't know. But he's very, very famous every day. So he's kind of like strong man, I think. He just prepare, who's coming, just all the line up. Like 5 minutes, just crush them, and he's very, very famous.
Buenos días.
Of course, then this lot of things. But later on, so he's sort of sick, but he's then greeting whatever this attachment, everything, Also, he has a lot of yaks and hips, or forces, everything. So, but he has the throat problems. So, then he telling them, okay, kill these yaks, kill these hips, So he cannot eat those meat. But so we have meat, this. No, just you kill this one, kill this one. He ordered. But slowly, he's become like, even though he changed the body, like kind of, we call it yada, right? This Hari goes, his belly looks bigger, and neck is thinner, head is bigger, or so that's I think possible, whatever this, he's maybe human being, or he's maybe already hungry ghost, or what call this, the hammer hair, so that's the thing. I think sometimes difficult to believe, but I think really possible. So then he died. So then actually no one cannot go that area. People hearing and people see and nosy or very scary area. So, and then I have another story. Is I went to this Ladakh to Manali. So. So Manali is the raining season is not good, road. So also this Dharma protector helps. So anyway, so this he and two bus from the Kulu to going to somewhere, on the way Manali. So his story is kind of amazing actually. So, and then this road is like landslide or like a bed or whatever, this bus cannot go stop. And the bus driver and the other helper, they go out. And the same time, one monk from Chanchobling, he just go out, The, like, sort of, I think maybe less the, 10 feet or whatever, and the landslide come. So huge rock, like huge, and fell down in front of him. And then continuation landslide, all rocks. But he's behind the rock, so he just, the mud or clay they come in him, but really not hit the big rocks, because big rocks, hit the big rock, then they stop there. So, so anyway, so then he, so then he just fell down, I think just almost here. So he cannot, move at all. And another woman there. So they cannot reach each other, but can talk, So they slowly, after that, so the police come, clean up. But also this, I think we are Dharma practitioners, mind is very, very important, how. So he said, no problem. He just kind of like, yeah, of course, squeeze, but he feels not that painful, But then the digging, police dig, and slowly, then he just lake. Of course, they scratch, whatever. So the police said, oh, it's already just broke, maybe leg is not using, So he's extremely scary. He just unconscious. Many hours. So then he just wake up, the Shimla hospital. So then in the hospital, he wake up, and then the doctor said, he's no problem. He just no broken the bones, no cut the wings, nothing. So lick up a scratch. But other women, they really crashed at the bottom, so he died. Anyway, so these kind of like, we're talking about occasional. So then the bus, two bus, the police thinking is the bus stay in the road underneath the, rocks. But the bus already push before, So then the police digging all this road, all the push the rocks, whatever, mud, top of the bus. They cannot see the bus. But of course, they not survive. But now these days, they said very dangerous, very scary. Many people, that area is also, maybe they are born, I think they make noisy, or people, the two bus completely, everybody died, except one monk. So that's kind of interesting. My friend, he's in charge like 11 years, he's director in Changcholing. So he's kind of interesting monk, he said. He's become monk very old. So one day, just old man, he come to Changchomling, oh, I want to become monk. So then my friends worried, why he's coming? This is maybe kind of problems, family, or whatever, he's doing something. He said, they say, you cannot become monk. I want to talk to, later. So then slowly, so he gave his mom's phone number and called the mom. Mom said, oh, yeah, this is just kind of normal, I have one son, but I really want to stay with me, but he want to become monk. So he said, okay. So anyway, then he became monk. But, so the two of us, one person survived. So that's
the same person.
Same person. Kanjoli monk. So.
Maybe some strange.
So they said, the hospital said, oh, you have luck. What they said, you have really energies or something, you have protections, but only one person. So now how many health? Well, that tango goes. That got to did it, or Karsana Tangi Contua Nagi, Lord Namisia, that they got Nagi Tanga to Lesia the Co Samji Mechawarawati and Dutine. Jingato nearby in Binari, Yida in Binari, Teniji Lo Ota Tengaji, Kodugmendo Samba, Yomarwa, in a Yantazo, Hakoya Kitchenbody Doa, Co Teniji Mukuluden Kabla, Tene laying and Basane, Co. Chevatini, le massive marwa. Tindri indutine, tea kabla, tenetic. Ramachebi, Tavichiada, Kisi, Himbachi, Yuna, Telemolam Jaya. Tanga to Diridoa, choose here, Chibi kabla, carriers and Nanga to Chibu, de Uyona, Chuhira, Chimaris. Penangato de Uyuna, Chuhira, Chimaris. Penangato love the Hana, and Chu Chimar love the cocker slad. Temporarily, cookers and the suffering kind of Yomarwa, co Karin and Digiorwa. Tindu Natsola Carsina Chu Chia Cataptilla, Natsola Dumia Candri, you Kangi, you with Jimson Jill. Then it Chu Chigores.
So then we must, really think about, these four thoughts that turn the mind, and in particular, cause and effect. And cause and effect are really incredible. We shouldn't just think, oh, there's these theoretical realms of hell and hungry ghost realm and animal realm and so forth that, I'm not going to really be born in. This isn't the case. If we engage in karma and certain actions, even if we are in the human realm, we can fall into those lower realms. This is due to the interdependence of cause and effect and that power. And so instead of, engaging in such actions, we should personally strive to not, create such negative karma. And also, when we see others engaged in negative activities, we should make the aspiration that they stop that and are freed from their negative karma and the results. And so seeing suffering and contemplating suffering is really important. It's part of how we can practice. For example, in certain realms, like the God realms, they experience just happiness and positive states where there's not a lot of trouble and things are all good, but at the same time they don't have any inspiration to practice. And so for ourselves in the human realm, we do experience some suffering, and when we take it onto the path, it can be something that really is a cause, a motivator to really practice.
Tiga Nagita Terrido, Ling, that Ling Jatan Ling Hill of Guyore. In a yata, Ling Himbat Haku Mari, in a yata, 조 갈세나 같은 잠블링 세야 론 잠블링 세야들라 근데 둥에 요레스 둥에 요비 줌센 텔레 때네 근데 디게 탄독로 찌네 되는 가져다 상지야 세야돼 둥이리 타르 세야돼 론 잠블링 마도 요 말에 숨고도
So, there are what are known as, in the Buddhist cosmology, in the Buddhist universe, there are what are known as these four kind of continents. And sometimes these are almost like cosmic continents, not necessarily just, continents on Earth. But regardless of how we think about that, in the Buddhist depiction of the world, we are in what is known as the Jambudvipa in the south. So it's in Tibetan is Lo Zambuling. It is the world in the south, and it is said in the Zambuling continent there is suffering, and so this suffering is actually useful. By reflecting on the suffering, we can give rise to the wish to attain liberation from suffering. And so experiencing some suffering in our world allows us to attain Buddhahood. It becomes a reason for us to strive to attain Buddhahood. And without being on, in a world continent system that experiences suffering, then we wouldn't, have a reason to want to be free from suffering.
So also one thing maybe here that we call this the rushing river. That rushing river to use segre la gore. That is the rushing river tela ngazo cross kandichi gore sena. Cross chia tela tene ngazo ta tela do karse. Seta tang se야지 용구도.
Siddhar.
Tata tang gore la gdo. Ta tang na tene ti ngazo ti gabla tene. Ti chut cross chi to gores.
Say Semshin, Siddhar. So here there.
In the similar setup on the Pionda, Mambo Yora, in the specific note.
So here in the neighboring hells, there in this version that Drupon has, there is the rivers of uncrossable rapids. These are one of the neighboring hells. And so there is this practice that is done particularly in Tibetan Buddhism called setar. And it means basically saving lives. And so what people will do is, they'll, get animals or fish or sea creatures and so forth that are marked to be sold for food and killed, and they will instead take them back and liberate those animals. And so one of the benefits of engaging in this practice of setar, or saving lives, is that if you find yourself in a experience where there's this rushing river of uncrossable rapids, this particular type of neighboring hell, then if you had engaged in saving lives, the rapids will calm before you, and you will be able to cross such rivers in these hell realms.
Maybe you're riding the fish, these days maybe.
Cross the river, though, into another hell realm, right?
No, you cross, then you're okay.
You're okay.
Right, yeah. Of course, then you're going to cross the hell. That's not good, but no. The cross, this past, so the liberation, or maybe this, I'm not sure, maybe liberation, or maybe no longer in hell. So this area is, I think maybe this is just only Tibet, I don't know. So, but these days, all the animals, right? Like even the Tibetans, okay, some family, maybe 100 ships, right? For instance. So in the Tibet, they never kill the young. So like for example, in the yak, I think naturally maybe 50, 40, 50, between. Sometimes yak can die, this snow, but so this, we look the teeth, these, or maybe these fall, right, fall. So that is, meat is good that time. But we look, oh, maybe this is, may die this year, whatever they killed. But almost, if 100 hips, probably they killed 100, But naturally die or wolf killed, but mostly. So, but then with setter, it's slowly released, even the animal that's young, 2 years, 3 years, so they never killed, they natural die. So this, we do Tibet, yak, goat, sheep, so. But these days are much worse, so these, I don't know, cows, how many, I don't know, they kill 2 years, right? 2 years or maybe less. The factories.
Something that would droop.
Yeah, I think so. So anyway, so that's okay, so now I think we complete. So also, how many hills now?
At least 18.
Okay, at least 80. Okay, we can say 80, right? So 80 is the 8 hot hills, 8 cold hills, neighboring hills. What is the
Ephemeral hills.
ephemeral? Or, and then within neighboring hill, 20. Okay, now we pass. Okay, so next week no more hill. So also, I think this is little bit need to fix the English, so we contemplate. So because the reason is we did little bit more explained, than other talks. If you really practitioners, easy to, everything's here, But otherwise, you can look, maybe other tags, John, Liberation, Woodrow, Perfect Teacher, and so this Dharma Kiddi, and but I think put here so people want to read easier one, book. So so I think so. Do you have some questions?
Lisa, can you unmute?
It's the comment.
Yeah, feel free to speak. Yeah, hello? Hello?
We can't hear you. It sounds a little muffled.
You already unmute, but I don't know some reason. Or maybe this sound higher. I don't know.
You should write it in the chat. Question is.
Yeah, you could write it in the chat.
Yvonne has a question. Are we going to talk about Hungry Ghost Realm next class?
Next.
Next.
Yes.
Lisa asks, don't the jealous gods suffer because they are at odds with the gods and desire what they have?
라라 카치네레.
The lamin dukma yore karesna konso lale traro yores. Database.
리리 데려와.
Yes, the demigods or asuras, sometimes called the jealous gods, are jealous. They have jealousy and competitiveness with the gods and suffer because of that.
I had a question. Like for when you were talking about all the hells and everything, it just brought me to mind like that everything that we do has consequence. Even if we don't do something, it has consequence. So like if somebody was dying and we were afraid to help that person because we'd have a consequence, but we don't help them when we could, we would still suffer the consequences for not helping that person, right?
You said not helping?
Yeah, so like if you're like in a hostile country, right? And somebody is dying and you can help that person, help the enemy or somebody live, but you're afraid that if you help them, then you're going to suffer consequences from your own people, and you don't help them and that person dies, you still suffer the consequence from that.
Hakos, the Gyokap Shantra Nana Bena Mi Trupa Gyabna, Ani Draw Shigi Yore, Ani Draw La Mendrena, then a Draw Shigamare, Yene Draw La Mendrena, then a Pache Dunga Shagere, Mishanda Gagamare, Ani Men Draw Madrena, then a De Le Dukpo Rebes, Men Yuna, Ani Dre Madre, De Le Rebes.
다 데려와 가서 데려서. 인다 든리 거가 캐리아 카보레스. This 카보레스.
So that can be kind of, you know,
Rare.
a rare and kind of difficult situation.
다디 인데 쭉 갈세나 다디 nga zu ki chi to ba de la ji phen ba ji chi to na che ya re sro wa ta te me na ta nga zu ji molam ya ya ke chen bo des ina molam jam ne ko phari la dung ye chang ma da si to gu yo ma ko individual dung ye ro wa ina ko molam to bi yo des wa.
So, generally speaking, you know, if we have the opportunity to help people, it's good to help people. If we can't help people, then, you know, it's good for us to just pray, you know, at least pray for the well-being of others. And while, you know, our prayers might not immediately have any, you know, direct benefit immediately for others, you know, over time, there is a power of that prayer.
I have another question. Can I ask now?
Yes.
Okay. So we talked about the cold realms a lot, but we didn't get into the details of what are the actions that cause people to go into those places.
We talked about what?
A lot about the cold realms, but not a lot about the causes of going there. So can we have like a brief explanation where the causes of people going to those places after that?
리리다 테르와 yes 이네 다 쪼 커스나 디 땅가 쪼지 디 커스나 가서 등에이 비깝라 스러와 등에이 비깝라 등에서야 가와요레스 등에 중산으로 오지 등에 중사 짜와로 오지다 차오게 등에 되고래 장모 등에 되고라 체효지다 Jumsen tell at the end of that, you got a specific hard cold tea or this, in a dinner, Betamo in a town and rograce, so in a tartar and rograce, love your. Yin and Yata, so cheho de carre sevina, not so the specific Yori yin and yang, more specific the Carsena, never jack, Jew, cold hair jagonary, hot hair jagonary, so Carsena, not so that, Nyomumba. 해당 조치비 기더니 라 제그레스 이나 뇽몬바다 효첨보 나서 미게와 효첨보 요나 되니 제그레스 라고도 인 단기 콘트 휴와나 당가서 디 디테일 도지 지나 딱지 간다 휴리 가서 녀발 explanation 지 요리라와 이네요 디 explanation not enough rawanga ngone thanda labna the at cold hell lagori hina penacha shavina magic la kangi nyang yona kali nyang thang the country nyang bari kron le kharsa bari le tin ri khandi mi bari china ha sa pe mambo cha de yoris inta de kon the general ro jiri sina ya ta zo ju kharsa opsana nyom mo top chimbo yona teni ngazo de yarawa je gris teli chona teni 다 선나라서 베틀리 총나 뇽바테 이달라 제그레스 다 텔리야 디스다 총나 테네 톤로 제그레스 다 간다티 조 뇽바시 지중라 차디 요사레스
So that's a interesting question. The main thing when it comes to these sufferings is that we experience these sufferings, inwardly, through, in our mind's experience when we are born in these different realms. And we do have these elaborate explanations of the hot hell realms and the cold hell realms, and there are, experiences in these realms that get hotter and hotter depending on the level of negative actions, and colder as well. And there are very detailed explanations of what activities and actions can lead to birth in these realms. However, it's important for us to recognize that it is negative actions based on afflictive emotions that lead to these negative states of experience. And in particular, of all the negative actions, or of all the afflictive emotions that lead to hell specifically, it includes actions based on the afflictive emotion of anger. So when we have extremely strong anger and hatred and engage in powerful activities, powerful non-virtue based on that, then that is what leads to hell. And so while there are extremely detailed teachings, in a way, these teachings are kind of like guidelines of the genres of experience that can occur for beings when they've engaged in such negative activities based on afflictive emotions. If we look, for example, even just one person, if we just look at all the causes and the effects in even just one lifetime, there's infinite things happening. There's all these like subtle things we'll say or do one thing and it has these results, and that's connected with all these other things. And so even just one person, the activities and the consequences are like infinite. And so, with these hell realm explanations, we're kind of just speaking in terms of like, general, vast realms of experience that can be experienced when we have very powerful afflictive emotions and engage in actions based on that. And so, generally speaking, the hell realm comes about through actions based on anger and hatred. The hungry ghost realm comes about through, very strong actions based on greed and strong desire and craving and so forth. And the animal realms come about through varieties of experiences due to ignorance and, activities based on such. And so these are kind of general guidelines. And so, this is kind of the general explanation.
다 대가 나기 다 된다디 다 가서 디테일 지금 로비나 근데 karma interesting 지그래도 와 karma디 베나 차샤비나 심체세야 한다고 야 심체세야 알아서 봤더니 치가 다당 될 때에 그 메티게 situation condition 구롱 뭐고 지를 때에 양고 빅파페 충중이 뭐라고 근데 유저가 요레스 다 참례 가서 대가 스케치를 올라 그러와 매직라 아더 처를 되는 가서 다지 크리티시즘도 베널라도 장초 선반 나오라 꼬르왔다 도미 딕션 싸움도 못마다 감솜 심진 질리 대체와 장초 선반을 꼬르왔다 올라도 감솜 심진 질리 대체와 장초 선반을 꼬르왔다 도미 딕션 싸움도 돌로야 다 참례 가서 지 pen ha mago ba nga so khangsa chu nga so ordinary ke yindu ordinary ke ordinary la ha mago bi jian chi ni pen nga so mi chimba jig la de ne pen changjo samban do ko ra ning ji ke dang ni jian ten ri je ke yo wala ko rang ke chi chong dang non tu nang me wa ta chi mar wa ten ri je la yang nga so de ga chi pe da du bo re ya wo me do ta khang da ji criticism chi bi na de ne ha sa ya ke ko dik pa chen bo do pen da 가르쳐거지 여러 장냐나 진로야는 거다 근데 유스기를 하고도 와
So, in addition to the varieties of actions that can lead to these states, there are also the different levels of power of actions. And so there are situations, for example, where, we might kill a sentient being,
or maybe sort of hunting or whatever
or like Drupon says, hunting. But then, if the motivation to hunt is not out of an extremely negative intention, if somebody's just trying to get meat or something to help others, then the motivation is kind of complex, and so it's not as negative as opposed to just killing beings out of strong anger and so forth. So too, so that's killing. So there are situations where some killing isn't as bad as others. Also, though, what we say out loud with our voice, normally if we criticize somebody, maybe it's not the worst thing, but there are some situations where if we criticize somebody, it can be extremely negative. There is this saying that if you criticize a true bodhisattva, it can be worse than killing all the beings in the universe. And, if there really is a bodhisattva who has, perfect qualities, who embodies love and compassion and the mind of enlightenment, and if we, lead others astray and, say, this person is a terrible person, they're doing all kinds of negative things, and lead the minds of others astray, then that's an extremely negative thing. And we just used a few words. So karma is very subtle and kind of complex in this way.
I have some acquaintances and friends who were in the Vietnam War or were in wars.
I think someone's trying to speak, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I had some friends, I'm of an age where we have friends who went to the Vietnam War to fight and came back with combat stress syndrome, serious. In fact, a lot of my high school football team died in Vietnam because they had the football team that the president his father was the recruiting officer for the army and military. And is there a hope for people who follow those directions and think they're doing the right thing, I suppose, and either die or have combat stress?
Ya pena de moranki laptala de simo se ki ken de simo se ki dapo con makmila lega chebare ani simo se ken chasamwa Vietnam la drobare ani trupa gyapson konso ki kunonga o ngaso gyaka pro pache ki du di gebare yiniang konso pache de pomambo chebare.
I think that's the good question. So, ngachola kari yorsena thi yorada individual karma se ji yores pe rang khor jibu ku thonda la da kari na ji leza kha jo ji yorwa tini ji yung yores tega na ji ke ta di penna thilag do jekap je ki chi do lungba je ki chi do tini ma jagi yuna ina di ta ko ma jangkhen ke ko head of the leader thi ke ta big mistake na kora responsibility sama kora la yores yina ya da three order ti nen drongkhen ji yorwa tin roya de khari chi di yorlon ro gon ko jekap chi tin ro yorwa ina te ko dikpa use giri ina ti dikpa di khari yore la bina ko America mo khasi una ti dikpa chi pa thom ro gor ma to koran chi bola tin dikpa yo maris.
So, this is a good question. We do have, our own individual karma. That happens. Whatever we do, we experience the results of that. However, there also is collective karma that can be experienced for an entire country. And likewise, the heads, in this case, we're talking about war, so the heads of the army, and in particular, the
country leader.
The commander-in-chief, the people that direct the soldiers to go fight, who make the decisions to send troops, those are the people that have very specific, karma, because they made the decision. And so the soldiers, then the people who carry out those orders, of course, do experience some karma, but it's different. Likewise, the people that elected, if it's a democracy that is functional, then the people that elected, even those leaders, they have karma too, because they put, those people in power. Those people said, we're going to go attack here, and then the soldiers are following the orders. So the soldiers have karma, but it's different because they're just trying to support the country in a way. So it's a little different than just thinking, I'm going to go kill these people because I like it or something.
다 대가 나긴가 히 코로나 디파 요 말라고 그러와. 그래서 나고 미치 들어와. 그거 마음도 디파 요 말이스.
Kashe, yes.
어때 가르나 거부터 티 디파 무지가 요나고 반 아메리카 치든 도고래 아메리카 코라 참말라 투고요래 또 코라 미치 디파 요 말이스.
So in a way, some aspects of that negative karma, they don't even have, because they're not the ones making the decisions. They have, committed to doing a job to support the country, and then the country leaders direct them to do it. So they didn't really get a choice. They're just following orders.
So also this, or same thing, like for example, it depends, so this individual thoughts, so I really fight the country for the sake of the country, so those people is no negatives. So there's negatives, we hear the whatever American people, but not really the army, so.
John has a question online.
Okay.
Hey, Drupon. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about this for some time, and because you have so much more clarity and insight than I could possibly have to like approach this issue, but it's about the Newari people, the indigenous Newari people in Nepal. They do practice animal sacrifice in their religion and in their rituals. So it's kind of like embedded in their like this mix of Hinduism and Buddhism when they have these festivals and different deities and stuff, big festivals, and they also sacrifice like to Matsyendranath, who's one of like 84 Mahasiddhas. Matsyendranath is one of the 84 Mahasiddhas, and they they make sacrifices to Durga, and it's for prosperity and protection and community. So like, and some animal rights activists have tried to sort of stop these practices. But Newari people, they consider themselves Buddhist, you know, but it's very unique situation in Kathmandu. How do we position ourselves relative to the Newar?
Right, yeah.
그래서 문이치는 네월 남바 요래. 사실 콘소 책이요 말에.
Right. So anyway, so this is okay. So this, I think, maybe you really need to clarification. So I said the negative is negative. Okay, they believe Buddhism or Hinduism or the native. Of course, they may be thinking, this power, offering those things. But if you, because of this, give the suffering, kill the animals. So that's, I think. Doesn't matter, they are thinking Buddhism or Hinduism or Muslim, I don't know. But I believe that's wrong, okay? And then, so we, like for example, like Diloba, right? Okay, he killed the fish, okay? So that, if you can do, like, okay, eat fish, the snapped, fish go in the water. Yeah. So that's actually the two benefits. One is that they said maybe no longer animal rhyme, or there is that the animal karma is gone. And as well as, I think Tiloba is not negatives killing the fish. Like for example, I think this one story is Drupon Gunley, right? Drupon Gunley. Maybe you saw this story, right? So Drupon Gunley, I think these two or not, I don't know about. So one day, I think government said he has to pay the tax. So pay the tax means that times meat, the nomads. They do government, so these days he paid tax money, but that time it's not like for the government, it's just this much meat, this much cheese, this much butter, this kind of thing. And then 1 year, the Drupon Gunley, he didn't pay the meat, So then the government come to him, so where is your tax, I don't have the meat. You have to have meat. Okay. So then he, okay, come tomorrow morning. So then he did the kind of wild animals like deers, and those are he just killed, and then all the meat is separated, and all the hands, legs is separated, and the skin separated. Okay, here, this meat you take. And then said this, that government people is very scary. No, don't do that. No need to tax, Your tax is free. You no need meat, this. So then the Drupon said, oh, okay. He just snapped. All the animals gone. Just all the whatever deer. So, but this story, I don't know. So this I think some area is some deer's leg is shorter, leg is not even. That's, I don't know, story too or not. But this to pick up animals, all the legs, head, skins, just all thing. But some of these mistakes. But anyway, so that's kind of, if this real, then yes, we can do sacrifice animals, But if you're not, so no matter, I say, is, even though, yeah, we are eat meat, that's we thinking wrong. This is sure, they kill, not really kind of sacrifice. But no matter we kill the animals, that is, I think, doesn't matter who's belief. Actually, there we said motivation, is their sake. Actually, the motivation is Nepal, Himalayas, sort of very bad motivation, actually.
Yeah, Nepal is
because
like-
of these obstacles. I have obstacle, okay? Mainly it's the obstacle. So this look like big obstacle, okay, now maybe kill the goat, or this whatever Durga Devi, or whatever this we offering. Or maybe it's more obstacle, chicken, But anyway, so this, probably not right, I think. Sacrifice the animals.
It's tied up with the caste system as well in Nepal, in the monarchical sort of the way that the society was structured. Like butchers, in particular, are a very low caste, and they do the dirty work of, preparing meats and so forth. So, like, it's tied up in the whole ethno-religious, like the whole structure of the society as a former monarchy. Like
Yeah,
institu-
normal butchers, I think, they too. So that's everywhere. I don't know, some little bit money, or I don't know, higher, what is case, what is it called? Rake, yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't do, but they eat meat. So that's probably, but everywhere, I think. But some the Tamze, right? So this the India. Actually, those people I really appreciate. Those people are a little bit different. So this not killing and not eat the meat. So these kind of a lot of families I know the Drupon area. Actually, they are selling the sweet like they made from basically the cheese or milk or whatever. This is really delicious. But those people is kind of really healthy. Seems to be really good, I think.
Brahmin.
Yeah, Brahmin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Drupon.
Okay. This Kumar sweet shop in the Drupon. So that's, I think, different. Okay, thank you, everybody. So yeah, pretty good. We have good discussion, and then next week we keep going. So now dedication.
Okay, page 24. By the virtues collected in the 3 times by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drupon Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. And then to page 19. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. Chahang Chub Sem Chogrin Boshe Ma Ke Panam Ke Kyurchi Ke Panyam Pa Me Payam Gong Ne Changju Senjo Rinpoche Ma Ke Panam Ke Gyurje Ke Panyam Pa Me Payam Gong Ne Gong Du Belvasho.
Okay, thank you. And also, yeah, we the 4 training of the mind. So we originally we put together. Please read. So that's, I think, 4 training of the mind is very important. You really understand the precious human life and important.